We've seen how you can save your report, and by default, when you save a report, the data is saved with that report. So this report, I've saved it, called it Guys Report. It's got 385 records. The report holds those 385 records within it. Now, it doesn't hold all of this information, it just holds the information you've got on the page effectively. So I'm going to be able to store with the report first name, the surname, and the email address for everybody in TBL contacts. And I would not need to refresh this report to see that data. I would not even need to be connected to the data to see this data. It's with the report. So it is a little bit of a security loophole for secure data. So we'd need to be able to turn that feature off at times. So if we go to File, you'll see there's a little tick against Save Data with Report. That's on there by default. To remove that option, we just choose it. And you can then go back to File and see that it doesn't exist. And we resave this file. So the file Guys Report has now been saved without the data. So if I close Guys Report, you can see on the recent reports, the two that we've been dealing with, Guys Report and My First Report, which are effectively the same report, but My First Report has been saved with the data. So if I reopen My First Report, that opens with the Design and a Preview tab, and I'm seeing all 385 records. If I go back to the Start page and reopen Guys Report, it opens the same, but it only opens in Design View because there's no data stored within it, and I'm now forced effectively to refresh or preview. So it's quite useful for two things. One is there's no data in that report, so the data stays in the database, it's not insecure and it's being dragged out into the report. And secondly, you're effectively forcing a refresh every time the report opens because there's no data already in display. Vitally important if your reports are pulling sales data, commission structures, anything that's really time important. If someone's in a hurry, for example in the first report, they could open the report and print this without actually looking down here and seeing that the data is out of date. If they open Guys Report, there is no data stored with the report, so they're forced to effectively refresh. And then this data is now up to date. There's the date, there's the time, 4:11 p.m, whereas My First Report is looking at 4:03 p.m, 8 minutes out of date. And in a totally finance-built structure, 8 minutes is a lot of money. So it's something to think about when saving the report. Do you effectively deactivate the Save Data with Report option by going to File? If it's got a tick on, clicking again. If it hasn't got a tick on and you click it again, it will actually turn it back on, saving data with report. So be a little bit careful about activating it back on again. So we'll leave it off in there and save the changes. So it's saving the changes to tell it not to save the data with the report.